All right, so I thought it might be helpful if we look at some differences in pump assemblies. So we've got three different manufacturers and styles and sizes of pumps here. The first is an LX pump. It's actually a Dimension 1 OEM part number here, Jacuzzi or Dimension 1. 6500-091. This is a 48 frame baseless LX motor and wet end. So this is the wet end, obviously, that's the motor. Come over here. We've got this new Waterway. This is a great pump, very heavy. This is a 56 frame. It's an Executive 56. If we come around here, you can see the Executive 56 right there. Has new part number information. It's a high amp, 4 horsepower. Could be a 12x4 right there. Okay. This one doesn't have a sticker on it anymore. And there's Turtle. But this is an Ultimax, not Ultimax. How do we know that? Let's look at the wet end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bolts. Ultima would be 4. So they look very similar. They're a little bit different in the discharge here. So when you're looking at the discharge, which is this, a discharge, 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 intake, intake, intake. But let's look at some of the differences here. You can see these wet ends. These two, the LX and the Waterway, you know, there's some similarities there. So there are times that if you're dealing with either a 56 frame Waterway or an LX pump, sometimes you can make those fit up interchangeably. Same thing with the 48. Now in this case, you can see there's a significant difference because this is a 48 and this is a 56. This is a 48 baseless, so it kind of is rolling around on the table here. So you can kind of see how much smaller it is. I mean, these two 56 are large pumps. Now you can't really tell in the picture, or in the video, I guess, but this is even larger than this Ultimax over here. This is a very large, very heavy pump. So these are both 56 frame. We can look and see how different they are. Turtle's looking to see who's outside. So a couple things that, you know, we do know now, we have the plugs here on the wet end. Now we can hook up to one of these for our, you could call it a bleeder line, you could call it a freeze line adapter, where we're gonna plug in usually our 3/8 hose right there. There's 2 here, 3 connections here. We look over here at the LX, we also have 3 there. Now, in some cases, they won't all be drilled out. So like if we can't really see, but if we were to look, sometimes like these are all the way drilled out, but there are times that like with the Waterway that maybe only one of these will be drilled out. So that is where that bleeder hose or that freeze line adapter would be plugged in. So if we look at, you know, obvious similarities here, if we are rotating the wet ends, we got the through bolts here, go through the motor. It's what's holding the wet end in place. So all 3 kind of have a similar style in that way. Okay. Now, again, if we're rotating the wet end in any of these, we can kind of use the same method. Now, by the way, this was a 5/16 on all 3 of these. It was a 5/16. So after loosening those through bolts, you can kind of pull towards you and then turn it. It's a little hard because I'm holding the camera there, but there we go. The same thing with this one. Pull toward us, turn it. Again, a little hard. Holding the camera, there we go. And then same thing over here. Now on this one, because it's baseless, what you'll see a lot of times in a hot tub is instead of the wet end having been rotated, the entire pump has been rotated in its pump base. Okay, so again, we got the 48, LX, 56, Executive 56 Waterway, 56 frame Ultimax by Balboa.